Good morning, and thank you for joining us for this video service of the First Unitarian Church of Alton on the 3rd day of May 2020. I'm Robin Berkeley, and our speaker today is our minister, Amy Brooks. We acknowledge that we create this worship service on Illinois land colonized by white Europeans through the labor of enslaved Africans. We invite you to remember the heritage of the land that holds you in your location today. We welcome everyone to this online home of comfort, spirit, justice, and hope. We are Unitarian Universalists. We begin our worship with a prelude by our accompanist, Joy Heft.
If you have a chalice or a candle at home, I invite you to join me as I light mine. We hallow this time together by kindling the lamp of our heritage. And now our opening words are titled, I Want to Be With People, and were written by Dana E. Worsop. And I imagine they were written during very different times. Often people say they love coming to a place with so many like-minded people. I know just what they are getting at, and I know that they aren't getting it quite right. I don't want to be with a bunch of people who think just like me. I want to be in a beloved community where I don't have to think like everyone else to be loved, to be eligible for salvation. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, and truth, though they have different thoughts and opinions about all those things. I want to be with independent-minded people of good heart. I want to be with people who have many names and no name at all for God. I want to be with people who see in me goodness and dignity, who also see my failings and foibles, and who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their inner connection with all existence and let it guide their footfalls upon the earth. I want to be with people who see life as a paradox and don't always rush to resolve it. I want to be with people who are willing to walk the tightrope that is life and who will hold my hand as I walk mine. I want to be with people who let church call them in a different way of being in the world. I want to be with people who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to higher and more ethical living. I want to be with people who inspire one another to follow the call of the Spirit. I want to be with people who covenant to be honest, engaged, and kind, who strive to keep their promises and hold me to the promises I make. I want to be with people who give of themselves, who share their hearts and minds and gifts. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people like you.
Our prayer was written by Lynn Cox and is titled Prayer of Co-Creation. Let us be in the attitude of prayer. Creative Spirit, source of life and love, we give thanks for the beauty of this day and for the company of those assembled here. Thank you for the breezes of change, clearing our heads and bringing fresh ideas. May they cleanse our minds of the oppressions and isms that divide us. Thank you for the flame of hope, the heat of righteous anger, the warmth of compassion, and the fire of commitment. May they bubble the cauldrons of transformation. Thank you for oceans of love, rivers of connection, tears of relief, and pools of serenity. May healing waters flow over us and through us and among us, wearing down the sharp rocks of despair to bring joy in the morning. Thank you for the good earth between us, around us, and within us. May we take this clay and co-create a new realm of justice and beauty. Thank you for all these and more. We accept our gifts and commit to building, sculpting, painting, singing, and dancing them to life, to abundant life. So be it. Blessed be. Amen. Our first reading this morning is Thank You, Climate Strikers by Rebecca Solnit. It is read to us today by Reverend Laura Randall, UU minister and UUSC staff member.
This reading is called Thank You, Climate Strikers by Rebecca Solnit. It is an excerpt from a letter that first appeared in The Guardian on March 15, 2019, at the time of the first youth-led global climate strike. I want to say to all of the climate strikers today, thank you so much for being unreasonable. That is, if reasonable means playing by the rules, and the rules are presumed to be the guidelines for what is and is not possible, then you may be told that what you are asking for is impossible or unreasonable. Don't listen. Don't stop. Don't let your dreams shrink by 1 inch. Don't forget that this might be the day and the pivotal year when you rewrite what is possible. I don't know what will happen, because what will happen is what we make happen. That is why there's a global climate strike today. This is why I've started saying, don't ask what will happen, be what happens. Today, you are what is happening. Today, your power will be felt. Today, your action matters. Today, in your individual action, you may stand with a few people or with hundreds, but you will stand with billions around the world. Today, you are standing up for people not yet born, and those ghostly billions are with you too. Today, you are the force of possibility that runs through the present like a river through the desert. Here ends the reading.
Our second reading is titled Inflation and was written by our minister, Amy Brooks. On those rare days when I clean house, I pull on a pair of jeans and some old shirt I got for $5 so I don't wreck my good clothes. Music is a must. I need it loud enough to cover the roar of the vacuum. The absolute last thing I want is to have nothing to distract me from the boredom of the task. And when the cylinder growls with the rattle of a sucked up coin, I'm just happy if it doesn't clog the pipe. I won't bother to pull apart the appliance and dig through the debris for lost treasure. I guess a coin is just not worth what it used to be. I go through life that way, cranking up the noise so I can ignore the rumblings that invite me to go to the trouble of calculating the age of the child who sweats in deadly cramped conditions for 14 hours a day so I can buy a $5 shirt. Prize of heaven, sucked into the machine while I, a sinner, refuse to repent.
Hey, you might not know it, but I have the silliest dog in the world. And perhaps you think yours is, but you're wrong, because mine is. She is the dog who, when someone visits our house, which hasn't happened in some time, but does happen, when someone visits our house, that person can knock at the door, come inside, talk to us, be visiting with us for half an hour, and then at some point, the dog, who has been walking around this whole time, sniffing at them and ignoring them, will turn around and say, "Stranger, stranger, there's a stranger in the house." And we're like, "We know, Olivia. They've been here. They're fine. Everything's fine." And the other thing she likes to do, particularly at this time of year when we can actually open the door and the windows and let the fresh spring breezes come through, is she likes to go to the door and announce the presence of any creature living, large or small, who happens to infringe upon her field of vision in any way. She's out there at the door yelling, "Danger, danger, danger. I'm here to protect the family. Don't worry, everyone. I've got this covered." You may hear her walking around while I record this video, because right now she's very confused about why I'm standing in the dining room entirely alone talking to myself. And I'm pretty sure she thinks that she has the silliest human in the world. But that's okay, because maybe that just makes us perfect for each other. But she's out there, rain or shine, no matter the weather. If someone comes, she's yelling, "Danger." She's yelling the dog version of Mayday. There's a crisis. Someone needs to help. Someone needs to do something. And a little bit, I wonder if we could do with a little more Olivia of late than less. Because, friends, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a crisis. Mayday. Someone needs to do something. Someone needs to help. And right now, the best many of our elected officials can come up with is to look to our essential service workers, many of whom earn subsistence level incomes, and throw their bodies, if you will, on the fire of a global pandemic. A global pandemic that is highlighting the imbalance in the structure of our societies. Mayday. There's a crisis. Someone needs to do something. And the reality is, yeah, there really is a crisis. Someone really does need to do something. I just question whether we're putting the weight of that responsibility on the correct people. And it makes me think to the origins of May Day as a pagan festival, as the marking of the end of the darkness of winter and the beginning of the growing season. And it was never about dark as being bad and light as being good. It was about a recognition that one season had passed and another season was beginning. When you think about an agrarian culture, the winter time was the time there were no more crops to gather, and the bulk of the animals were hibernating, certainly in the northern hemisphere where I live today. And it was a season where the work of the fertile time of year was over, and it was the time to rest, to recover, to live from the fruits of the land that had been gathered so far, and to look ahead. And then this change of seasons was a shift from the restfulness to the time of work. And there's something about using that language of fertility and growth that is so much more meaningful to me than using the language of productivity. Because we're hearing a lot about productivity these days. Those of us who are working from home, many of us are really struggling because it's so hard to get that balance. when your workplace is your home, where your resting place is where you do work. And there's this pressure that society puts on us to be productive. And that's all well and good for those of us who can work from home. But we're in a world where there are some parts of the market that we apparently just can't do without. We do need our medical professionals to continue their work with people who have caught this illness and other illnesses that humans just get in our bodies. And we need to eat. Someone needs to manufacture and produce the food and make it available for us to buy. And where it gets troubling is where you have people marching in the streets protesting because they can't get a haircut or they can't go to the lake. And I just don't see what's so essential about those services. I mean, sure, I'm biased because, as you can see, I cut my own hair and I do it normally anyway. I'm just wondering about that balance. Have we lost a sense of that balance between work and play? And when we are making those decisions about what is essential, I wonder, particularly as Unitarian Universalists, whether we can lean in on our integrity, lean in on the principles, and ask ourselves, is the thing that I want, is the thing that I need, something that is going to improve that balance, the balance of work and play? And is my purchase or is my using of it worth the cost that must be paid by whoever is producing or selling it? Because there's a sense in these times where what's required is less productivity, to be doing less, to be less about the busyness of being frantic and paying into the pit of capitalism with our sweat and with our toil and with our anxiety, and instead of throwing everything of ourselves, everything of value and worth into that pit, whether we can take a breath, whether we can ask of ourselves, in this moment, what's the most important thing? What can I do to help, even if what I can do to help is to stay away, to stay home, and to prevent the spread of disease? Now, I know that some of you are those essential service workers. And I want to say to you just how much I appreciate all that you go through. For doctors, for nurses, for medical care providers, yes, and for the people who are working in the meatpacking plants where we are seeing such terrible outbreaks of disease because your employers are not caring to protect you as much as they're caring about their profit. For those of you who are stocking shelves or working a cash register, I notice the work that you are doing. Your work does not go unnoticed by society, and your value is not found in that work because you are worth so much more than that. And Mayday, there's a crisis right now. There's a pandemic that is pointing to a bigger problem with society, pointing to the reality that the world we live in demands the labor of many to ensure the profits of a few. And as a Unitarian Universalist who tries to make decisions based on my integrity, based on the core of what I believe in, that's not good enough for me. That is not the world I want to live in. And I wonder what I can do about it. And maybe you wonder about that too. So Mayday, there's a crisis. Like a real one, not like when my dog is out the front door yelling at a squirrel, 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 squirrel. Not that kind of crisis, but a real crisis where people's bodies are on the line, people's lives are at stake. And in times of crisis, more is required of us. And I don't mean more productivity. I don't mean do more things. I mean be more thoughtfully minded. Be more aware of the needs of the neighbor. More is required of us in a crisis. And some of what is required of us is that when the time of crisis has passed, that we remember the lessons that we learned. And we insist that the world can do better and that we human creatures can be a part of making that so. Amen.
We offer the gentle reminder that this faith community is supported only by your giving. We need each other, and in times of trial, we need each other even more. You can mail your gift to First Unitarian Church, Post Office Box 494, Alton, Illinois 62002, or you can give electronically by searching for First Unitarian Church of Alton on the Givelify app or via the link on our webpage. Give what you will, for you are a generous people. If you know our offering prayer, please join with me in reciting this. May this offering equip us to inspire love and seek justice.
When we gathered together in person back in the ordinary times, this is where we would pause and share our thoughts about the message of the day or the theme of the month. But these are extraordinary times. So I invite you to take a pause for reflection right where you are now. Thinking about the service today, what was helpful? What was hard? What sparked inspiration? And thinking about the theme of May, integrity, what code of conduct do you hold at the core of your being? You might like to make a few notes or create something artistic or just stay with your thoughts. Feel free to pause the video if you like, or you might choose to continue to reflect through the next piece of music.
I hope that this time of reflection was fruitful for you. Perhaps you will share the fruits of your labor with someone significant to you. Also, I invite you to post your thoughts in the comments of this video. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel while you're here. Here are our announcements for this week. Please contact the church office if you have an event or an announcement that you would like us to share via our weekly Church This Week email. If you are interested in receiving our weekly email, please send your contact details to church@firstuualton.org. And remember to join us next week for our Mother's Day service with virtual flower communion. To participate, please send us any flowers, photos, or artwork of flowers that you would like to share. You can send that to Alex Heft. If you need his email, you can post on the UU Friends or check your Church This Week email. It has it in there.
And now, if you have a lit chalice or candle near you, I invite you to join me in extinguishing the chalice. The light of truth and meaning cannot be put out. We are keepers of this flame until we meet again. Now for our closing words, written by Heather Ryan Starr, and the title is To Soulfully Survive the World's Mayhem. May whatever gatherings or activities we engage in this Sunday afternoon help restore us, our connections to one another, our sense of hope, beauty, and fun in this world, our deep knowing that we have to take care of ourselves and each other with love and joy if we are to soulfully survive the world's mayhem.